Welcome back to another episode of Anchor Lines. I'm your host, Tyler, and this week we have a phenomenal conversation with Chrissy. Chrissy is the dive safety officer aboard Coral Reef 2 for a couple of their trips every season, and she is a full-time employee at Shed Aquarium in Chicago. Really just an awesome conversation digging into a little bit of what happened in terms of some of the mechanical issues that they had. We spoke about last week with Gage aboard the Coral Reef 2. But also with her own set of issues, living on a boat for 2 weeks at a time, working with scientists, diving every day. We had a lot of fun. Luke got to sit in on the episode as well. So give it a listen. Let us know what you think. And until then, I will catch you guys on the next one.
I don't know. I think Chrissy, my apologies, learned my wealth of bullshit voices over the entire trip, especially when I'm sleep deprived.
You put him on a boat for 14 days. You're going to run out of material at some point.
Yeah, I started making more.
That's a bad road.
I found new levels of weird for Gage.
Oh, goodness.
Count Chocula, the dive master, is probably my favorite. It's very nasally.
We go down the 1 foot. We go down 2 foot.
Literally.
We go down the 3 atmospheres.
It was very nasally.
That was Chocula?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going diving.
I filled tanks up, fill them very slowly. If you have some night trucks, it might just blow. Hey, faster, we fill them up faster.
Exactly.
OSHA comes and gets a mat. I don't know where I'm going.
Chocula just got pretty Italian.
Yeah. No, walking around Fort Jefferson was interesting on the second take in the aspect of like completely deprived of just sleep.
Both of us were goofy goobers.
We were goofy goobers, eh?
Goofy goobers that are bleeding all over the deck and needing to find medical services on a fort.
Perhaps.
I was the first problem, and you brought it home. Yeah.
Wait, you both got hurt?
Yeah.
I have Band-Aids to prove it.
Oh, look at you.
I definitely ate it going down the aft deck.
She learned the
stairs.
3-point rule on a vessel at all times rule the hard way.
Yeah.
You were underway when that happened?
No, we were anchored. It was during my night watch.
Go backwards. You were underway when that happened?
In flat, calm seas, if we bring it back to what we talked about earlier.
Damn it. No, unfortunately, I was just carrying my water bottle and my books, and I went down the stairwell and just totally, like, plinkoed from, what's the, Price is Right, that game. I literally just plinkoed down the whole stairwell and really beat up my elbow, but luckily it's okay, and I didn't hit my head. The one thing, unfortunately, is I did lose my water bottle, and it was, like, drifting off to sea, and it felt like watching Wilson and Castaway, and I was like, no, my favorite sticker is gone. But, yeah, could have been worse, so...
Devastating.
Well, glad you didn't hit your head, just your elbow.
Oh yeah, for real. I mean, it was definitely...
It was so bad that Tom and I were asleep, and I thought we got waked to hell, or we dropped, like, we broke the anchor, because all I hear is, dunk-dunk! And I'm, like, almost, like, on that edge of falling asleep, and I'm like, ugh, okay, time to move, and we get out. What happens is Tom gets out of bed, he immediately goes, and I just lay there for 4 or 5 minutes. And I immediately get back. I go out because he doesn't move, he doesn't come back in or anything. And then I walk outside and he's just explaining the stars to someone. And I was like, okay, I guess we're not worrisome in any means. And then Chrissy comes up on the ladder. She's like, did you guys hear that huge, like, thump? I was like, yeah, I still can't figure it out. She's like, it was me. I'm the thump.
I am the thump.
Yeah.
That's a tattoo for you.
Chrissy.
Where does that live exactly?
I go on the wrist, otherwise it gets real weird real fast.
I think
Or
full
maybe I
blown
commemorate
landmark.
it on my elbow.
Yeah.
I also have another scar from another boat I worked on this elbow. So now I've evened myself out at this point. So it all works out.
Yes.
Well, Chrissy, what's your background and how did you get on the Coral Reef 2?
Yeah. Okay, let's backtrack. So let's take it to junior year of high school. I took care of
What year is junior year of high school?
What year? Like, how old am I?
Like, yeah. Is this 1972, 2011, last year?
2012.
There you go.
Yeah. So I was taking care of a saltwater tank in my school that my family, I have 2 older brothers, they passed down to me. So it's kind of like a generational thing while I was in school. And took care of the corals and the tangs and the clownfish in there and just got really fascinated. So I decided marine biology seems pretty cool. I'll just go for that. So I got my undergrad in that. And in that time that I was at Ohio University, I did a scuba diving class my junior year of college, which that would have been 2016, and got open water certified. And really loved the community that I was in. Like, the instructors were just amazing. And I ended up just becoming a scuba teacher's assistant, nothing official, but basically just hung out in class because I just wanted to keep diving no matter what. And then ended up being able to go out on the trips with them. We went down to Devil's Den in Williston, Florida every time for the open water certification checkout dives.
Great place.
Yeah, I love it there. And did that for, 2 years. And then I worked at a scuba shop in Columbus for a little bit. I was working like 3 part-time jobs at one point, just like trying to find where does my passion lie, which one do I want to do. And I only worked at that scuba shop for a couple of months. I was in the process of finishing my dive master with them, and then ended up getting a dream job out on Catalina Island, where it was a marine biology kids camp. I love working with kids. It's one of my favorite things to do. And it was all about these kids breaking their fears, going out and snorkeling, kayaking, hiking, all that good stuff. And did that for a couple of years. And I was able to finish my dive master. I actually finished my dive master in COVID though. So it was like a really weird roundabout, like remote way of doing it. And then
It works, right?
Yeah. Although I will say I started at a very interesting level, and I don't know, you guys, I'm sure, lead many multitudes of different personalities, but I was leading 16-year-olds and like groups of 5 or 6. And that was pretty intense because it's like, oh God, teenagers of all people, like they're just kind of crazy and I don't really trust them, but it is what it is. And did that for a couple of summers. And then after that, I moved on and worked in the Everglades National Park, where I was a deckhand on the swamp tour boat. So I was basically like an eco tour guide for 6 months. And then I moved to Chicago. My husband's there. He is a musician. And so I moved there not really knowing where my path was going to take me from there. And ended up getting the job with the Aquarium and got safety diver, which is like a weird title. I'm technically now senior safety diver, but then when I'm out on the field, I'm technically the dive safety officer on the boat. So that's kind of like a really shorthanded version of my story. Yeah.
That works. I shared my story with you earlier. I was still waiting to hear yours.
I know.
So thank you for letting us record
Here we are.
it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So on this vessel, like, what was your day in, day out responsibility besides trying not to fall down a set of stairs?
Basically, I'm just in charge of all safety aspects from
Except yourself.
except myself. I know. Gosh,
She
how
wrecks
ironic.
herself.
Come on.
I know. I set
That was
myself
good.
up, T-balling it. Anything. So checking all the oxygen, making sure leading the checkout dives, everybody's good there. I'm not super familiar with all these dive sites, so I was definitely looking into more of like Gage and Tom on like, hey, give me some pointers on like what things I need to be looking at in all these dive sites. And I'm like thinking of this safety story of one of the people that was on the vessel. She had a very deathly allergic reaction. Well, it wasn't deathly on the boat, but she has an allergy to cashews and had to end up jumping on a boat, going and getting an EpiPen at the Dry Tortugas spot to help her out as well. So just kind of like anything that falls in safety, that was kind of my wheelhouse there. Not to make a pun out of that, but yeah.
The wheelhouse of a boat.
There it was.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, that's awesome. So why'd you have to lead the boat to get an EpiPen?
Hey, that's not on me. I drive the boat in the perfect context of what Chrissy explains my job title is I turn wrenches and I drive boat. I do nothing more. I drive boat and I fix things.
With overalls.
Fix very important
overalls.
things.
No t-shirt, let the chest hair out. Yes.
Or short shirts.
Yes. It's either short shorts or overall, gang. There's no in between. Yes.
I really didn't realize how many short shorts you owned. Like the first time
All
I
of
saw you in
them.
short shorts, I was
All
like,
of them,
okay,
Chrissy.
damn, like working it. And then it didn't stop. And then it
No.
was the next day. And the next day I was like, oh, okay, this is just
Sun's out, thighs out, baby.
You ever think to yourself, oh God, is that your personality? Like, does that define you?
Sky out, chubby's.
Is that literally your chubbies?
Yeah, skies out, thighs out.
Oh my gosh.
Gang, gang.
Planned it.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it
Not sponsored by Chubby. Should be.
That'd be awesome. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. But the only time you ever see me in pants is in an extremely professional setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is literally it. I think there was 2 times I wore pants the entire trip, like actual like long pants, khakis, and it was because we had new people come on board, and I was wearing like my
You want to say hello properly.
yeah my Coral Reef 2 like Shed Aquarium like t-shirt, like my uniform, I guess, and like nice pants. But
Is it a t-shirt or is it collared?
I have both. We have a collared one, but truth be told, it's a little baggy on me, and I don't find it quite flattering.
I can't imagine you in full-length pants without a collar.
Yeah, it was a little weird, but it was enough of a
I
nice
can't
t-shirt.
imagine him in anything past his knees in terms of cloth.
Exactly.
Unless it's overalls,
Like-
and then it's only because it's overalls.
Or like, oh, the Gage is in this mode. Leave him alone.
Yeah, but that mode doesn't jive with like having a collar on.
Yeah, no. Overalls and a collar.
Hell yeah.
I need to
Goodness.
up my game. Maybe like crop top collar. I recently saw that. That was interesting.
Wow.
Strictly shoulders and collar.
Yeah.
Plus long khaki pants.
Just be completely
And we're gonna call
confused.
them slacks.
Slacks, yes. The slacks on that guy. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
This is
We
the
got
joy
off
of this
topic.
kind of
We got off
situation is
topic.
digressing
Yeah,
very hard.
Very harshly, but yeah.
But no, Chrissy. So, minus making fun of Gage's attire on the boat, what was your actual mission though? Like, what were y'all going out there to do? Because like when we were talking earlier in the last one, Gage said he didn't really know what y'all were trying to get out there because he was so worried about getting you out there and keeping the boat going. So like, what was the mission in the water? What were you making safe?
Yeah. So I should preface and say I wasn't one of the scientists on the boat, but I had worked on this boat previous, or this trip. And so this group of researchers are looking at A. cervicornis, which is a type of coral, and they're looking at the heat tolerance. So basically what they did was they set up 8 mini coolers, and each of those would be set up to a different temperature, and they were stressing them out over an 8-hour period to see which ones would retain their tissues, which ones are going to be the most tolerant. And the goal, which unfortunately they didn't get to do the second part of what they wanted to do, was transplant some from the Keys area down into the dry Tortugas and vice versa. So the ones that were showing that they were more tolerant, they would be able to plant those already and get them in a place where hopefully they'll be able to survive and thrive is the goal. They're also looking at trying to crossbreed. I don't know how much you guys know about the corals and their zooxanthellae, but they have different basically there's like different groups of zooxanthellae. There's like A, B, C, D or whatever, right? And if you crossbreed some of those, they might hybridize and become even more tolerant. So they're trying to figure out how to get those to be the tolerant reefs that we need for the future, basically.
Can I ask one thing?
Yeah.
Would you explain zooxanthellae, the symbiotic relationship, and then what the common name of that coral is?
No, I can't
Come
do
on.
that.
Yes, you can. Zooxanthellae is the algae that lives within coral, and that's the symbiotic relationship of how they work together. And then what's the common name for that coral? I'm close.
It sounds like you know these answers already.
No, I'm not the scientist.
Neither am I. I just prefaced myself that I'm not that scientist. But
Sorry.
no, it's all good.
Do you know the common name of that coral?
I don't.
Okay.
All I know is because we kept calling them short, like acers. So anytime we were seeing acer out there, that's what we would say.
We
Yeah.
can cut that part.
We'll probably leave it in. It's good. No, but I
Lots
mean,
of stag and elkhorn on the boat.
Exactly. I'm
Lots
not
of
trying to be an
Yeah.
ass.
Stag and
I
elkhorn.
just want it to go to the people correctly.
Yes, no.
Sorry.
I mean
Understood.
that's and if you're saying transplant stuff from the Keys, like that's mainly what you're looking at. That's being moved around these days. But I mean, to simplify it, and correct me if I'm wrong. Coral is dying because water is hot.
Yes.
Water stays too hot, coral keeps dying.
Right.
We want to make coral that can survive in hot water.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, and they actually, so part 1 of the trip was doing a lot of that, of like testing out the different ones, and they were, analyzing their data in real time. And then more part 2 of the trip was actually doing a lot of like in-house transplanting. So anything that was in the dry Tortugas, they started putting out plants in different areas to see, okay, we're going to check these next year and see how they're doing. And there was a lot of different scientists all mixing and mingling. We had people from University of Miami, University of South Florida, some people from California as well. And everybody had their own flavor as to what exactly they were looking at. Like one of the girls that was on the trip, she had this whole project of doing 3D models of each of those. So one of the days we went out and people had to take, literally the goal was 70 photos of just one little fragment of coral and going in a 360 view around the base and then a 45-degree angle and then a little at the top. But it's amazing. They literally can stitch all those pictures together and have a 3D model of that coral, and then they can do that next year and compare, like, literally, what does this look like a year from now?
They could even print them out based upon the photos.
Yeah.
Like they could 3D model the image. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I was at DEMA last year, and the guys that make the reef guides, they are starting to 3D model entire reefs and wrecks. They have hooked up GoPros to essentially this PVC platform that's connected to like a DPV, and they drive it at a certain depth over the wreck, and then they do it over each depth. So they do multiple dives on these wrecks, pulling in all this stuff, and when they're done 3D modeling it, they if you go to their website, you can pull up the Spiegel and walk through it on augmented reality. So, like, you put your camera on the ground, like, pointed at the ground, and it puts the ship on the ground to walk through it. So imagine blowing up, like, a 3D of one of these corals to be able to walk around it and show kids, like, really in-depth pieces of it, like, for a classroom setting, or adults that are, like, doing the research to be able to see where the death is on it, you know, that kind of stuff.
I was gonna say, have you ever actually done one of those, like, the Oculus, like, deep dive stuff? Because I've actually I find it quite humorous, because I will go back and I'll look at my garment and my heart rate drops because, like, my body takes in control, my breathing changes in the sense of like my body is going into dive mode, because visually I am going through the wreck and I will find myself, my breathing slows down, my heart rate calms down. Like, it's in a very weird aspect, and I always thought it was funny.
Well, it was interesting. I saw
Therapeutic.
I saw
Exactly.
a doctor recently, and she did blood pressure, and she goes, "Oh, you're a diver," and just like I was like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, divers are just lower than most people, like on blood pressure." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Kind of threw me off kilter because never had anybody say that. I have had a doctor look at my ear and say, "Whew," and I went, "I'm a diver," and he goes, "That's okay." I was like, "What? No, that's not good." You were concerned beforehand.
No fettuccine.
He's like, "No, I know that's just they're not going to look great."
Yeah.
But
I scar them every day.
no, but that's awesome what y'all are doing on that ship. So if they're doing the hands-on stuff, like, what is the dive safety officer doing in the water? Like,
Well, we're not
describe how
always
you
in the
make
water.
money.
Yeah, we're not always in the water. Specifically on the field side of things, usually there's a safety observer, right? So I'm on top of the water looking for those bubbles, putting in a recall system, making sure people's surface intervals are appropriate. I mean, we were doing really shallow dives, so it didn't, we weren't having to, like, really calculate too much while we were out there. But just kind of being the brains behind, like, knowing everybody's being safe in all the activities that they're doing, making, like, literally there was one girl on the trip, it was a joke by the end of it, but, like, at one point she hadn't eaten breakfast, she wasn't drinking water, and we were like, "Girl, what are you doing? Like, you're about to be diving for
She's
like
not
almost
sleeping
2
either.
hours." Yeah, like, literally goes to bed at 12:30 at night and then, like, wakes up at 5. I'm like, "Are you okay? Like, is everything fine?" And she's like, "Well, what? Like, I had like 3 cups of coffee this morning." I'm like, "That doesn't make any of this any better."
This is the
It's where
same-
you want to politely say, do you remember your open water diving where they talked about the risk of DCS?
Yeah.
What risk factors are, because you're hitting all of them on the head. All we got to do is get you hammered now, and you'll be great.
Yeah, perfect.
This is the same girl who listens to audiobooks and podcasts at 3 times the speed and retains every single word that is spoken. And, like, that's how she goes to sleep. Is she puts 3 times fast a podcast and just focuses it, and that's how she lulls off.
I want to know
jealous.
if she can listen to a foreign language and retain it, like learning it.
I'm gonna ask her.
Yeah. we'll
Like
have
where
to
they
follow
say
up.
word to word,
Yeah.
this is this in Italian, this is this in English, and they go back and forth.
No, I was
Like
just-
you're in a Macaroni Grill bathroom and you're learning words. I don't
Yes.
know if y'all have ever been to one. They play Italian to English, like lessons in the bathroom.
I did not know that.
Wow.
Interesting.
Weird place to be.
Yes, very niche thing.
I'm
to
just
know.
saying, our family liked Chili's and Macaroni Grill growing up. I wasn't a classy man, but I enjoyed my life.
So on the next episode, we're going to enter in the 3x speed lady and see how that
Hey,
goes.
Literally.
Are you here for the auction or for the science? Well,
I don't know if
Little
she
bit
can.
of
Yeah,
both.
I don't know if she can speak 3 times the speed, but she can retain 3 times the speed.
that's impressive.
Yeah. Other than the fact that on the trip, for example, her bunkmate. So each room houses 2 people, and her headphones fell out while she was sleeping. So that her co-bunk buddy just heard demon speaking at 4 o'clock in the morning of 3 times the speed of a podcast.
Sounds like chanting in the other room.
Yeah.
Why
She's
are
like,
the
what is this?
Why is the captain having a seance in the galley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
What is going on?
No, but basically I would shorten my role into I'm the mom on the boat, right? Like just checking in on people, making sure everybody's staying safe, and like making sure people are drinking water and eating and sleeping.
Have you drank water today?
Yeah, there's a couple people I had to check in with, but
Yeah. LaCroix is not pure water.
yes. Yeah.
Tell Richard that.
Yeah.
No. Well, that's cool. What are you doing when you're not on the boat?
When I'm not on the boat.
Because you're only on the boat, what, 2 weeks a year? Are you going on other trips? Like, what?
Yeah.
Actually, tell
So-
people what you do.
Sure, yeah. So all encompassing my role. There's like about 10 to 12 trips that the boat does, and that stretches what, April to October.
Our main season is from March to generally September. That is
Okay.
our main season.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I'll hop on a few of those. There's a total of 3 of us that are rotating to be the DSO on the boat trips. So we'll just split those amongst ourselves depending on who's available when. So that's the like field season time. When I'm not in field season, I'm at the aquarium as a senior safety diver. So I'm more focusing on a lot of administrative stuff where I'm looking at volunteer management. We have a lot of volunteer divers in Chicago. And they come in and clean the tanks, basically scrub the rocks. Some of them get to feed. Like we have this Caribbean reef tank where they feed bonnethead sharks. And there's a big old sea turtle. Her name's Nickel. She's a sweetheart, but she's ornery. And we have to keep her away from the divers because basically she'll just like follow the divers around and eat all the little bits of squid that the other fish aren't getting. And at one point, she was doing that so much that she had gained 50 pounds. And they had to put her on a very strict diet. So now she's eating 5 heads of lettuce a day. And that's a thick I mean, she's
turtle.
still getting some scraps from time to time. But yeah, so they really have to distract her while divers are in the water because she's an ornery one. Yeah, so just kind of checking in on all the different tanks that divers are in. There's a lot of them at the Shed Aquarium. It's a really big place. And we have probably a total of like 50 or 60 staff divers and about the same for volunteers. Most of those are just kind of being jumbled into the water. Some people are on like a strict schedule. Some just kind of hop in when they can. And yeah, so I check in, making sure everybody has their certifications that they need. Doing a lot of paperwork. Honestly, that's a lot of my job. But I do get to hop in the water. And when I do hop in the water, it's because I'm doing a checkout dive with a volunteer or a staff person that's just joined the team. And I just need to make sure all their skills are good to go and that I feel comfortable putting them in the water and that they're a good buddy to other people as well. So,
Oh, good buddy. That is
yeah.
the hardest thing to teach somebody. They can know all the rules, but the moment they see something cool and they just dip off to the left, and you're like, where are you going there,
Yeah.
bud?
I will say it's a little different in the aquarium setting where, like, yes, obviously buddy pairs are important, but, like, the conditions are always the same. We're not worried about,
They're
what's
perfect.
the tide today? It's like literally the same as yesterday and all the days before that. And it's crystal clear water. It's never going to
Chrissy,
be a time
if I worked with you every day, I'd come in and be like, what's the viz looking like? I would drive you up a wall with that
The
question.
surface current, what's the bottom current looking like?
Yeah.
The temperature today.
Yeah. Is
I'd
it
like
like
to
a
know if it fluctuates.
should I wear a 7 or like a 3 mil, dude?
Would
Yeah.
you please hang up a chalkboard somewhere and put the condition report?
Oh my God.
Like a
Just for
reef
Tyler.
report.
Just for Tyler.
Perfect.
A reef report just as a joke. Leave it the same
Yes.
every day. Just go in every day you come in, change the date.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. I do have, in my office, I have a window that doesn't look out to nature. I'm in the basement. So it's just a window into the hallway that I actually have a picture of the Coral Reef 2, like the OG drawing when they first were designing it from the 80s.
Oh, that's cool.
So I have that hanging in the window, but maybe I should put up a chalkboard right next to it. That would be funny.
Yeah. Just you need to write today's reef report and just leave it the same
Love
every day.
that.
Or do like the sighting report right? Because like dive
What did we
shops
saw
always
today?
do like the sighting today.
We saw two bonnet
clownfish
heads
or whatever.
and a pufferfish and a turtle.
And just do like the entire layout of everything that's in the aquarium.
Yeah. Oh my god.
3 whale sharks and a turtle today.
Well, and you can
Oh,
the only
fancy that.
the thing you change is citing 4 volunteers,
Yeah.
2 old friends.
That's the only thing that changes.
The sighting is the humans, not the animals.
Yes. They're basically animals.
Yeah. We saw Bernice today.
Goodness.
Philip was in the water. We made sure to notate that.
Oh, good old Felipe.
I could turn into a quick meme for the shop, or well, for the aquarium that you would love a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the characters. So Nickel, the sea turtle, she's one of the characters. There's another guy in, we call it the schooling habitat in the Wild Reef area. His name's Stanley, and he, in his territorial season, or mating season, if you want to call it, he's very aggressive, and basically he just chases after divers' fins the whole time, and so the way, I think he's a triggerfish is what
Okay,
it's
I was
called.
going to say, what is Stanley?
Yeah.
Triggerfish.
I realized I didn't explain.
Yeah.
Got a big old front buck tooth, and so if he gets at your ankle, it can be bad. He's bitten some people before, but you have to take a net down with you sometimes. He personally attacks me. Like, there's particular people he really likes to go after, and I'm one of them, so I have to take a net down with me just to basically be like, hey, dude, you know what this is. Like, I'm going to set this right here, and in case you're getting too close to me, I have to, like, fight him off.
Goodbye with you.
Yeah. So he's another character of the aquarium too. But yeah.
Wow. I want to have a fish buddy. Even if he was mean.
Luckily, hopefully one that doesn't bite at your ankles.
Yeah,
that would
I
be
don't want
preferable.
Henry. He sounds like a lot.
It doesn't sound. It sounds mean, but like just to have a fish know me on a personal basis, I'd feel pretty special.
Yes.
I do feel special if they retain that knowledge, but like if I have to constantly deal with the way the chubs act on a daily basis, there's gonna be hands that are gonna be drawn.
It is cool to see the fish that have personal relationships with their aquarius. There's one, his name is Diddy, and he is a 26-pound pufferfish, like literally this big.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen one that big in person.
He's super cute too, because there's like a bridge that goes over top of that tank, and when you walk by, if you're wearing a Shed logo shirt, he recognizes it and swims up to the top and is like, hey, how's it going? And with his aquarius specifically, he had to get an exam one day, and like the aquarius was literally just like turning him like a baked potato, just in the water, like orienting him to like look at the side of a fin.
Doesn't
or, like,
bother him
check
at
out
all.
His, yeah, I will say he was in water with anesthesia in it, but still, I mean, like he just like, it's a very trusting relationship that they have, which is pretty cool.
26 pounds.
Yeah, we took bets on it because that was the first time it ever weighed him. I don't know how long he's been at the aquarium,
I
but
can't even like fathom.
yeah.
Is he a porcupine, like those Mondo babies with the huge black eyes?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
Looking forward to meeting him.
Yeah. There's
But
a lot
like
of cute
him being
characters.
handling, no worries, no
No,
inflation,
no
totally
stress.
just chilling.
Just chilling. Mm-hmm. Even
What a
in the water
guy.
too, because we have to put 2 divers in that tank, and it's like a very narrow and tall tank. It's like 14 feet. Yeah, and he's no stress whatsoever.
That's crazy.
I want to meet Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be his best friend.
Henry, it's you and I right now.
Well, it looks like we all need to make a trip to Chicago soon.
We're on a race
Yeah.
to become friends with Henry.
I get
Oh,
6
heck yeah.
free aquarium tickets every day. Every day I get 6 free tickets.
Oh, isn't that great? You live 2,000 miles away.
Yeah. Yes.
That seems like a lot. 6
Oh.
a day.
6 a day.
365 times 6.
Every day. I get, yeah. So if
You heard it here first. Gabe has tickets for sale.
No for sale. No for sale. Freebies.
Not for sale. Not for sale.
Go get educated. Go see the cool stuff. Go get fascinated.
Fascination.
Fascination.
All right. Well, to wrap this up, best part and worst part of being on a boat with Gage.
Ooh.
I'm ready for the sauce.
Let's
I'm
make
ready
this
for the sauce.
personal.
I'm ready for the sauce. I'm so ready. I'm so ready.
Here, wait. Let's take a minute. Chrissy, you think on that.
Yeah, I need to think
Okay.
about
Okay.
Let's give
You got
her,
something else?
Well,
Lean in.
I'm sorry. I'm just giving her a moment to make sure that it really melds so that she has all the time for
Really
ammunition
infused.
that's needed.
Yeah.
You know? I'm leaning into my mic. I'm learning my role. We're
Oh,
doing great.
I'm going to get y'all boom arms soon. I promise.
You go sous vide your thoughts over there.
Oh,
We'll keep continuing.
dropping in
Yes,
that
yeah,
cooking.
Ooh.
We're preparing for 4th of July,
July,
fancy
yeah,
dinner.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I just figured we would give Chrissy a moment to think about it.
Well, while we got the second, while she's thinking, guys, this is Luke. I know he's been sitting here for 2 episodes, and we haven't really said his name or said hello, because Gage introduced himself, and then Chrissy had a whole episode about herself. Luke's going to come talk to us soon about
Next
becoming
one.
a captain. I think Gage and him may be together about the process of becoming a 100-ton
We're
captain.
together forever.
Aww, hand holding.
Cute.
But it just, you gotta love his vibe and his smile. It keeps you around. It keeps,
We're here
it keeps
for fun.
the spirits
We're here
good.
for fun.
Making
Yes.
memories.
Making memories always.
All right, now that we had said good things, Chrissy, drop the hammer.
Yeah, come on, get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Well,
start
that's
me
pretty
a
on
new
point.
one.
I'll start with the worst. The worst part is the fact that I have to call on Gage to be like, I need the manpower when I just like want to be self-sufficient, and I'm like, I just want to do it myself, and I'm like, Gage,
I
and
need to break this tank valve.
yeah, basically, which just makes me feel
Hold on.
helpless.
But didn't you say he couldn't break that tank valve either?
He didn't. You're right.
I did break the tank valve.
Well, but not by the way that we were doing it initially, right?
Not initially, but I
Yeah.
was
So
able
you
to.
had to bring in the big boy guns or whatever.
Yeah, I had to
did.
spool up and break it.
What, did you just stand in
I
your
took
room
an
and be
EpiPen to the throat and just went for it.
I know how to.
Yeah.
I hulked up and went for it.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that's really not that bad though. I'd say the best part about having Gage on the boat is he has great energy to him, and one of the things that I think will stick with me now for future trips to come is like, we're here to make memories, and I think that's something that rang in my brain the whole time, that I was like, yeah, you know, there's bullshit all day, every day. You can look in this corner or that corner and you're going to see something that's going to bother you, or something that you're like, oh, I just want it to be better. But at the end of the day, we're out there to have fun and make memories. And I think that's a
It's
really
a-
great attitude to have.
It's a job at the end of the day,
Yeah.
but it's a fucking cool job.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great
for
job.
sure.
And
Now-
when you're in the shit with people you care about, because Ty, I've worked with you, and Gage, I've worked with you. Chrissy, you seem wonderful. When you're
Scene is the key term.
hey,
You seem alright.
that was meant to be polite. What the fuck? But when you're in the shit with people you care about, you're able to smile about those struggles, and
Yeah.
you're able to work through them together. And that little moment of like, this sucks, but I'm with someone I care about, and we're able to smile, kind of see the like goofiness of the situation at hand, and then work through it, is what makes it so that we're able to overcome it, you know?
Yeah.
And
definitely.
that's caring about your coworkers and your friends and making it a little bit of a family.
For sure.
I love that. Well, before we wrap it up, just to give Gage a chance to throw some shots at other people. What best and worst part about working with Chrissy, and then we're gonna wrap this up and call it a day.
Fire back.
I'm gonna let this marinate for a second. I'll start on the polar opposite. The best things is it's really nice to talk to someone who is so engaged in the industry and such a phenomenal aspect of like perceiving the knowledge and eager to learn, because I find a lot in the industry where people just don't care at all. They in the industry as a whole, and I'm sure we all know, is the turnover rate's insane. There's very few people who stay in the industry. People come fill out a pipe dream real quick. They're like, oh yeah, I was a scuba instructor and stuff. But it's very few people who are like, this is what I do. And I'm damn proud of it, and just stay with it, because the dive industry as a whole is a very small niche. Everybody knows everybody, and being able to find someone of a like-minded individual who is quite eager to learn and looking for every aspect to obtain that knowledge and to always better themselves is great. Like really cool in my perspective. And I love teaching. I just love giving that knowledge, because it's something that is healthy to share, and I am not the type of person from previous generations who doesn't like to give that knowledge out, if that makes sense.
There's a bit of an old school gatekeeping mentality
Yeah.
sometimes, where it's like, well, if I teach you this, you can take my job. But now it's, if I teach you this, you can help me.
You can
we
help
can
me,
help
or you
each
can
other.
relieve
We
me
can
from
grow
issues.
together.
Yeah.
I can
And we
move
can
to
help
the
the
next
environment.
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, 100%. It's not always the me, but still, like,
and-
it's, if you
Yeah.
do want to go to the next level, you have to have somebody underneath you to take the role as you step up, or, I don't know, expand. More people on your level is a good thing.
Especially, and it's nice to have, in my personal opinion, someone who challenges your beliefs and your opinions, because that's how you grow. If you can't be stuck in your own ways, you have to be open at constantly at every single point in your life to be, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, But like,
That's why we live together. We fight constantly.
Yeah, we have a lover's quarrel every day. yeah, constant lover's quarrel. And
Hey, I feel like breakfast. No, it's too late. You know, everything.
we're having Brenner.
What the fuck is Brenner?
Breakfast for dinner, baby.
Where was lunch?
There is no lunch. We get second breakfast and third breakfast. That's why I don't
Okay,
live here.
we're not going into Tolkien's Lord of the Rings right now. All right. Worst thing.
Man, I
Yeah,
can't believe you're ending on the worst thing.
Wait, so that was heartfelt and lovely.
Yeah.
But now
Now I got to bring her back down to reality.
Yeah.
Now we need to talk about the percentage.
Oh, no.
No.
And Chrissy, we certainly won't end on worst thing. Not
Chrissy-
about you. We'll end on worst thing about Gage.
Yeah, worst thing
Oh,
about me is,
perfect.
yeah, I need to know my place at all times.
Yeah.
And what I need to work on.
We both reminded each other that we were just trash at the end of the day, so it's all good.
exactly. When in doubt, we
Friendship.
trash it out.
We got a strong vibe here going.
Yeah, I don't really have any negatives, and I
Oh,
mean that.
come
No,
on.
This fucking guy.
yeah, I don't.
Come
Damn.
on, shit on me.
Yeah, defecate on me. Give it to me.
Just so you know, your bosses might hear this. All right, y'all just keep going with this. I'm sending
Okay,
this to Tom directly.
My boss would be laughing his ass off right now. Yeah.
Just the fact that you mentioned a 3%, he's already done. He's
Yeah,
gone.
he's done. Chrissy's a big pooper over here. She fills that black water tank quite well. I don't really have any negatives. I think you're doing phenomenal. I think you're quite eager to learn. I truly think you coming down here and getting the aspect of, and this goes back, so coming back to, this was a very different aspect in the industry where I shit you not, when you're in the Florida Keys, you throw a rock and you hit 27 instructors and 42 captains. Like, it's literally how that works.
But how many of them are working as waiters?
Oh, a bunch of them.
Most of them.
Most of them. But it was a very different aspect where I come on, this is what my previous experience, this is what my history, and I further find out I am Shed Aquarium's only scuba instructor. They have few dive masters, and most of their volunteers are instructors. The volunteers are more qualified than the people who work there, which is a very different aspect than anything I've ever seen in the industry. Because truth be told, as an instructor level, I don't think I'm that good at all. I'm just your bare bone, run-of-the-mill scuba instructor, but my niche is the mechanical stuff, and that's my nuance. That's my specialty. That's my stuff. But like as a whole, I was like, it's very weird because I'm like, yeah, I'm just an instructor, but that's how it is in the Keys. Like everybody else and their mom is an instructor in the Keys. So it's a very
The moment you cross a bridge,
yeah,
you're a rarity.
it's very different.
And you're selling yourself short.
He very much is.
Yes.
But that's how it is down here.
There's a lot of us.
There's a
no
lot
doubt.
of us. Like
no
it's
doubt.
there's fewer dive masters than there are instructors.
Absolutely.
And it's very different. And you would say this is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
There's dive masters flourishing, but like you're in an inland shop.
Right. I mean, we're next to the lake. There's shipwrecks there, but it's cold, so most people are like, just go to Florida.
Yeah.
Like, they're not sticking around diving in lakes for fun most of the time.
And it's just different, I guess. And like going back to is I really don't have any faults, and I mean that in the most loving and best way I can. Is I felt like in every aspect that I require or I seek out in a friendship or in a professional aspect, is you have rise to the occasion. I haven't had any situations or any times in the past 14 to 16 days where I was like, that was messed up. Because and I mean it in the kindest way, when there was any things that I need to rehearse or like think of it in this aspect, you were truly receiving upon it, or you were happy to learn. There was no kickback. There was no nothing of like, just like what I find is bar none simple of just when you're diving with someone new. Hey, is there anything I need to know about you? Like anything unique to your equipment? Is your left hand stronger than your right hand? So your primary and your secondary is on your left side to your right side?
Gage, this is why you're a much better instructor than you think, because most instructors do not question any of this. They say, your gear's set up this way, go.
Yeah. And it just question everything, especially when you have a dive buddy relationship, in a brand new dive buddy relationship.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I need to know about you? Truth be told, are you uncomfortable at any other depth? Like, how does your dive computer work? Are you working a single button dive computer and I have to yell at you underwater because nothing is working? Like, little things like that. And just that goes back to my technical stuff of, like, at any point in time, I want to know without a shadow of a doubt, and this comes from my personal stuff of when I've had issues underwater, is I need to know how your stuff works. And you're quite perceptive, you're eager to learn, and that's phenomenal. Because, truth be told, with a lot of people down here, is they're just living out of, I'm going to become an instructor for 2 years and do this, and then I'm going to go do something else. It's very rare down here to find people who are quite passionate and wanting to constantly push themselves to be better and to seek a better audience and to grow in that personal aspects. And that's one of the reasons I was happy to bring you down, is to build those connections with two of some of the best instructors I know, and people that without a shadow of a doubt in the rest of my life is, no matter what situation that I'm in, underwater or whatever, is I fully, willingly know that that my life is completely okay in their hands. And that is a very unique aspect, and that's trust. And, like, we've been through some messed up things, good and bad, in various aspects, but we have grown together, not just, like, outside the water, but inside the water. And giving you the opportunity to get to meet some of the bigwigs that are literally just, we're on a first-name basis, and we just talk to every single damn day down here. Giving you the opportunity where it comes to, on that aspect of where we're like, I guess I don't even think about it anymore. Like, I'm just like, oh, well, this is just my normal life, and I don't realize the opportunities I have. And I'm like, oh, I know 3 handfuls of course directors, of people like, hey, you owe me this favor.
Being a course director is like a nonchalant thing. Hey, we have a buddy who's a course director. No, we have like 5 buddies, 6, 7 buddies that are course directors, and then you're like, oh wait, there's only like 100 of those in the world. Or I don't know what the number is, but it's not a ton.
There's only a few in Illinois that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
I mean, there's hundreds, but still, it's not. It's not like, oh, everybody has their driver's license. It's they're
the elites. They are what the percent.
Yeah, be careful. That's too many of our friends. We're giving a little too much credit here. I don't want to call them elites. Within their niche, they're doing something no one else can. No, I'm just kidding. They are elite in what they do. But
that's their focus. That's their knowledge.
100%.
Like going back to, like, my focus is my niche of mechanical and prowess and stuff like that. That is me. That is who I am, and that's what I'm proud of.
Short shorts and turning wrenches, man.
Short
That's what he's known for.
Buddy. That's gang. That's gang.
Nothing
100%.
else, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah. That's just me. But, like, it's quite different to be able to share that aspect, and someone who's quite eager. And truth be told, you're one of the very few dive masters of an inland place that is, like, wants to grow. Like, is like, I'm seeking growth. I want to push myself. I want to better myself. I want to further myself, in any constant way. And I'm happy to able to help give you that opportunity of, like, these are the people you need to talk to.
Yeah.
Literally, these are the people in the industry that if you start having a connection with them, truth be told, I called them up and I was like, hey, I need this favor. Like, done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And especially when it transgresses into, like, later opportunities in the year with I'm blanking on the huge
Dima
and stuff like that, of, like, my apologies, sorry, I talk with my hands.
He's drumming on the tables.
I'm talking with my hands. My
no, you're good.
With Dima, for example, where it's literally, Dima is the huge dive network for everybody across the world to come meet each other. And
you going?
That's the goal. Yeah.
Even if she sleeps on the floor.
Yeah, no. When you come, get our numbers, because we'll all be there and we'll connect you with a lot of people.
I'll make sure you have a place, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Sweet.
We're gonna have
a lot of fun.
And
I know.
It's in New
From
Orleans.
what he's told me, I'm like,
it's in New
baby.
Orleans this year.
I know. I've never been to New Orleans.
This is returned to New Orleans.
This is the first time in New Orleans in a long time. It's gonna be a hoot and a half, my guy.
This will be all right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a time. But like,
it's phenomenal networking.
Yeah,
and
no, I'm
professionalism
excited
is
for it.
at the top and all that jazz, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun, and
I was just gonna backtrack to many thoughts. One of my angles in the dive industry that I really would like to give a story to is I have type 1 diabetes, and I think it's interesting. Anybody that I've come across that has diabetes, I often hear like, oh, I didn't even know that's something I could do. And I think that's something that I really would love to give voice to and like be like, this is totally a possibility. It's not outside the realm. Yes, there are like restrictions and things to be aware of. Like, you know, every single time I dive, I have to give like a pre-dive briefing about diabetes to somebody of like, hey, here's my hand signal if my blood sugar's low and we need to ascend. And just kind of knowing those boundaries for myself, but also pushing boundaries, right? Like sharing different things that I've done to inspire people, hopefully, to be able to feel like that's a place for them too, and it's not something that they have to stay away from for any reason. And I think that pushes me to be eager to learn, because I'm like, I need to know these things inside and out, so that I come from a place of knowledge, but experience as well. And then also, like, I have to be safe because of this limitation of mine. I don't even want to call it a limitation. This difference in opportunity, maybe. I'm not even sure how to phrase it, but like that is something that I kind of always have as a lens when I'm thinking of my diving, right? So I really appreciate the aspects of safety that you've been able to help kind of formulate for me, of like, hey, think about this question for these people. It's like something that I do automatically when I think about how I talk to other people before I dive, but then to be able to make sure others are also taking the safety aspects really, you know, seriously. Like that's something that I think about all the time. So that was a little tangent.
No, it's a good tangent. I mean, recently I've had divers that were diabetic, and it was her first ocean dive as a diabetic. Like, there was a lot more to figure out. Dad was a little worried. He had juice boxes in a waterproof pouch that he took down with him. Like we weren't going to be like we weren't going to be 50 feet from the boat.
I told you, Capri Sun and a safety stop is a phenomenal experience, dude.
Cave diver, and I've done it multiple times. Yeah. It's a great deco drink.
Yeah, you're just sipping
especially
there,
in that Florida
rush.
fresh water. Yeah. You know, there's no saltiness to it. It's straight Capri Sun. Oh, so good. Yeah. But no, seriously, that's the good thing to look at. And it's like with anything with safety, you know, you don't know it's an issue until it's an issue. Like, I never thought about somebody's blood sugar. Really, legitimately didn't until somebody looked at me and goes, by the way, I'm a diabetic, and just leans back in the water. And I'm like, I need more information on that.
I'm going to chase you.
Yeah. So he hit the water. He's like, whoa, don't go down. I need more details. What do you need from me? And that was, that was 2 years ago. And you don't think you're going to come across a lot of diabetic divers, like you said, but I've a half dozen at least that I've had in the last 2 years, probably.
Yeah.
I've had a diver that, I don't know if you remember this. I was working at that first shop where I'm starting to learn everything. I have my first self-reliant student. Did I tell you the story?
I'm not sure.
First self-reliant student. So self-reliant, learning to dive by yourself, meaning breaking one of those rules of diving. You don't need a dive buddy. So you're going to need a pony bottle, an extra rag, all these different things. I'm going through the class for the first time alone. I had shadowed Luke when before I taught this class with somebody else he was teaching. I see him. I go, hey, are you blah, blah, blah? And he goes, yeah. I come and sit down at the picnic bench with him. We go through his knowledge reviews. He's there over an hour before the dive. You know, I've gone through it, or we've talked about all his gear. We make sure everything is roughly set up right. I go, cool. Part of this class is you're self-reliant. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to, go call a man about a horse, have a cup of coffee, hang out for a minute. The boat loads in 20 minutes. I expect you to be on it, geared up, and when I get on the boat, we'll check all your gear. But you're self-reliant, so I want you to go take care of this your own. So I go in, deal my business. I come back out on the boat, and he's sitting there, and I go, hey, man, how are you? And he pops his leg off. Pops it off at the knee. And I go, and he puts it on the ground, and I realize this dude is missing half of one of his legs. And I, in this moment, I'm caught off guard. I go, you don't have a leg. Not the best thing to say. You don't have a leg. And he goes, is that a problem? I go, we've been talking for an hour, and you haven't mentioned you don't have a leg? Yeah, it's just I kind of forget I don't have a leg anymore. Okay, self-reliant class. Can you do everything that we talked about doing today on your own? He goes, yeah. Cool. That was the end of the conversation. So you don't think about those little things being an issue until they become an issue. Mm-hmm. And, somebody with that's missing half a leg, they might be a dive hard diver because they need more assistance than others. He has created a small thing that he wraps around his knee that creates a fin for stabilization. He was able to work through all the currents we dealt with. He was 100% able to meet all requirements on his own as long as we carried his gear and set it on the swim platform. He slid it on the swim platform. He got himself in and out of the water by himself.
Wow.
At that point, you met all the minimum requirements. That's awesome. But, maybe you do need assistance and you need something. So, again, if you're not diabetic, you usually don't think about diabetic divers. If you haven't dove with an amputee before, you don't think about divers that are missing limbs. If you haven't, whatever it is. So, learning about safety also comes with getting in predicaments and meeting people that need additional help.
Sure. Yeah, and without having diabetes, maybe my focus wouldn't be so much on safety, Like, that's just like, it doesn't come across your brain until, like, you might be literally dealing with it right in front of your face.
It's unique and it's your nuance. Like, going back to every single person's different. What is special about you? Gasp. Of just, and it's also in every aspect, is keeping that personal aspect.
Yeah. And
you'll find a lot in the early industry when you're getting your instructor, your dive master, is people get burnt out, where it's just the people coming in and out because you're guiding people every single day. And when you make that personal aspect with your people coming in and out of, like, what is unique to you? Like, how do you dive? What do you need? What do I need to know about you to make sure you're safe? Because literally my job is to make sure you get back to the boat. That is literally my job. 100%. That's why I got hired. And just knowing, in particularly, what is unique to you. Like, just the simplest stuff. I prefer bar over PSI. Cool. That's all I need to know. Like, just
cool.
little
Let's
things.
do this in bar then.
Yeah.
Give me some different symbols.
Exactly. And it's also like that current. That's always that push of knowledge, and just constantly like, oh, I never really thought about that, or like, oh, how do I help facilitate that nuance and that uniqueness, if that makes sense.
Well, let's wrap this one up, y'all. This has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much. Sorry the last one got cut short due to batteries, but I think we still got enough gauge here in this one, too.
Hi.
Learned a lot over the last 2 episodes about Coral Reef 2, what y'all been doing. Thank you very much for sitting down before pizza night.
No problem.
We killed almost 2 hours here. Oh, we're going to make some pizza now.
Some dope.
Anybody want to plug anything? Own socials or how? No? Cool.
I
All
don't
right.
know. I'm good.
Sweet. We'll stay anonymous and catch you on the next one. Thanks, y'all.